to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, I have two of my favorite smart ladies with me, Candy Scott and Rachel Cannon. Candy is the principal of Mood Design and Build, located in Chicago. During her 17-year career in design, Candy has won multiple awards and has worked with large developers and corporate clients outfitting high-rise condominium lobbies, club rooms, and model showrooms. Opening Mood Design and Build in 2014, Candy continues to work with residential clients, business owners, and development partners on their homes, offices, and commercial interiors. Rachel Cannon is based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She has clients from Palm Springs to Palm Beach. With over 15 years of experience in residential and commercial interior design, she opened her own firm 9 years ago, Rachel Cannon Interiors. Her work has been featured in Traditional Home, The Wall Street Journal, HGTV, MyDomain.com, and Southern Home. Today, Candy, Rachel, and I talk about the changing landscape in the business side of interior design. Both women make a point that you need to know and sell your value as a designer, rather than the value of the products that you specify. Both of these ladies are highly organized with finite systems in place for running their businesses. And both of these ladies are going to be at LuAnn Live. It's about the conversation. Yes, if you haven't heard about it already, we are gathering in New Jersey for 2.5 days for the most epic business event in the interior design industry. And it is because that I have gathered smart ladies and smart men just like Candy and Rachel to join us so that they can share their strategies with us. They can share their challenges with us and share how they have overcome them. Are you feeling a little bit of FOMO? Are you feeling a lot of FOMO? Don't let that happen to you. Go to LuAnnLive.com and sign up to be there with us this March 30th and 31st, 2019 in New Jersey. Well, ladies, welcome back to another episode with me of A Well-Designed Business. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hey, LuAnn. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. And hi, Candy. How are you?
Hi, LuAnn. Great. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah. So here's the thing about this show. We're going to have a little conversation about this topic that's happening in our industry with let's use the buzzword of the day, disruptions, right? Like, oh my goodness. You know what I love about that word is it feels like anybody that's an entrepreneur now thinks it's a new thing to have business disrupted. I'm here to tell you, ladies, that it's not a new thing to have your business disrupted. But yes, that doesn't mean I don't have compassion for it. I absolutely do. But we're talking about this explosion of online availability for the consumer in the marketplace, being able to get previously to now, we've had conversations, at panel discussions, at industry events about what do we do? We've got the Wayfarers that are selling furniture online. And, I know in my mastermind groups and I work with the baby designers and they're saying to me, what am I going to do? So I just gave somebody a package price. Not a package price. I gave somebody a proposal for all of their furnishings, so forth, and they're like, oh, thanks so much. We're going to go buy it on our own, and we're going to order it ourselves. And so that's happening. And then we recently had Cherish purchased Daring Hall. And this means that there is an opportunity for not just the lower end of the furniture market, but the higher end of the furniture market to be available to the consumer online. And my position is always this, and then we're going to pull apart what you guys see as being truly on boots on the ground in this. But I can't ever look at an acquisition of something like Daring Hall to Cherish and not just spend some time in wow, amazing. Like, you know, when I think about the Cherish team having a vision and pulling this together and knowing Anna Brockway and knowing how smart they are, I revel in the smart entrepreneur that feels and figures out another way to make a revenue stream. And then when I look back to my friends in the industry who are upset, whether it be that or what the house did with tagging everybody's stuff and selling it from under them like that, I don't go for that, by the way. I don't like that one bit. Like, let's just be serious. Either. Yeah, I don't have regard or respect for that.
No.
But my thing is that things happen in business, and the smart entrepreneur weathers that storm and figures out for themselves how they are going to deal with it and emerge from it. So I have two really smart entrepreneurs here, and you both have different business models. So I thought this would be a great conversation to have. So who wants to start off with just this idea of the way to look at alternatives and what you see the future of interior designer and the role in this emerging online availability for the consumer? Who wants to start there?
I'll start if you want me to.
Go ahead, Rich.
Well, first of all, I think one of the things that you pinpointed right off the bat was every industry changes. Like this is not new, and disruptions are not new. So if you think about telephone landline companies have all had to transition their business into wireless companies. And if they had dug their heels in the ground and said, but we're a telephone company, well, none of them would be in business anymore. So the idea that the interior design industry is so resistant to this idea of product being available to the consumer, directly to the consumer, we're all going to end up with no job here in a few years. Like that is where this is all headed. And I think one of the things that we were speaking before the podcast started, Candy was saying that she is a design build firm. Right off the bat, she knows where her value is. And if you haven't established what is the value that sets you apart from everyone else who appears to be doing this, including the Wayfairs and the Cherishes and the Houses and whoever is offering online design services, if you haven't established that now, do it right now. Like, do it now, because if it just comes down to a numbers game, then you've just become another commodity. You haven't really established and positioned yourself in the marketplace as someone or something offering something truly custom or truly, personalized to your clients. Yes, anyone can go. I mean, right now anyone can go buy furniture from a store or online, but we still get clients because we've completely established what our role is in this for our clients, and we know exactly who our ideal client is. We don't have ideal clients in every market. That's not who we are. But I think looking, forecasting into the future 10 to 20 years from now, we are all kidding ourselves if we think that we're all going to still be making money on huge sales of product. That's a broken model and has been broken for at least since the advent of the internet. But I think realistically, kind of what you were saying in the intro, this is a disruption to the people who haven't been around maybe for a while. And it's a disruption to the people who are resistant to the idea that design can work in another way. And so for us, it has basically just been understanding how we need to charge for services, what we need to charge to make money, and then the client that we want to work with, because it's a symbiotic relationship when all of those pieces fit together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So I have lots of things in there, but I want to hear what you have to say first, Candy, and then I'll pick that apart.
Sure. Yeah, Rachel, I agree with everything that you just said. And I'd also like to add that in addition to knowing what your value is and bringing it to the marketplace, there's something else that is so essential about being a designer and about working with people, and that's the service aspect. Anybody can go online and see a room and love the room. And it's kind of similar to going to a retail store and seeing a mannequin with an outfit on. And on the mannequin, the outfit looks beautiful and amazing and like, something that you would want to wear. But in reality, you put all the pieces on and it doesn't fit the body shape. It doesn't fit, like the skin tone or whatever. And so that's the distinction that we have as designers and the opportunity that we have as designers to offer a service to say, yes, that's a beautiful room, but is it really for you? And to get to know our clients and to develop the relationships such that they call on us for absolutely every decision that they make, because we know them. And so, being a designer is not just about selling merchandise. That's a part of it, but it's so much more about the relationship.
Yeah, definitely. What's so interesting is we're recording this podcast. I don't normally share this information. It's not usually relevant, but we're recording this podcast on February 7th and February 6th. I did a 40-minute, almost full-on rant in my private Facebook group, LuAnn Nigara and Friends. If you're an interior designer and you want to join it, please go over to Facebook and request to join. On exactly what's interesting is you guys hit on the exact points that I made yesterday, not having had a conversation with you guys. We only picked up the phone 20 minutes ago, right? But I said a couple of things. Number one, I love your example, Rachel, of comparing it to the telephone company having to go with the flow. And what I said was, what about the guys who were horse farm raisers? And they had, farms and farms filled of horses, and they did their shoes, and they did this, and then somebody invented the darn car, and it's like, what am I going to do with all these horses in the backyard? You know what I'm saying? It's like, how about the guy who, the feed for the horses? Like, it was a whole industry that got changed, and that's like a pretty big disruption, I have to say. You know what I'm saying? And so that was one thing, a point that I made that I love, and it agrees with what you guys are saying. And the second thing is, to your point, Candy, I talked about the fact that you are not selling a product, and to use your word, Rachel, a commodity. I use both of these words. You are selling a service. And I explain in the Facebook rant that I do, even though I'm not an interior designer and my business model is different than your business model, but as a window treatment professional, I understand this. I have to say, I think even more acutely than you guys do, because here's the thing. I sell one product category. It's window treatments. And the hard treatment window market, that segment of the market, I'm sorry, that is the easiest shoppable item on the planet. You know, you walk in, I want a Hunter Douglas silhouette shade, 2-inch vein, material is A1 radiant white, and the size is 35 by 48. There's a price tag for that product, right? But I have existed for most of our business years. The retailer just closed up a year and a half ago, but for 25 of our 36 years, we had another window treatment specialist a mile down the road from us in our same town. And I'm going to tell you what, there wasn't 3 times a year that somebody said, oh, thanks so much, but I'm going to use this guy. Because you know what? I always, at Window Works, my husband and Bill and I, we have always instructed our team to lead with our service, not our commodity product. Doing business with Window Works means that there's somebody answering the phone every single hour of the business day. There are 5 installers that are on my beck and call. There is experience and longevity in my team. When I go out there, I'm not selling a blind. I'm selling you Window Works, right? So that is the translation of what you guys are talking about, is to think about, and I love this analogy, Candy, of the mannequin. I mean, honestly, I mean, that is so true, because how many times do we look at a room online and we think, hey, how about simple things like this? I'm going to buy this furniture. I'm going to buy this rug. I'm going to buy this lamp. And how about a simple thing that a designer would know that a homeowner wouldn't, that sofa isn't going to make the turn in your vestibule, your
Yeah.
foyer.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
come on. Look, forget if you get it up to the room and, oh my goodness, you see that room in the picture is 15 by 15 and I'm sorry, yours is 8 by 10. It doesn't fit, lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So, okay, so talk to me more about this, about how you work within your firms and your dialogue with your clients to really help our colleagues under there understand that they're not in the commodity business, they're in the service business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things I think for sure, if designers are not doing this, because when you get into a groove and a rhythm and you've been in business a few years, you kind of start to take for granted that your intuition is basically making these decisions on behalf of your client for you. And a lot of times clients need to hear the why, because that's just proving your value over and over and over again to them. Speaking about all of this, the horse farm especially, it made me think of this quote that I've been rereading the book Start With Why, which is wonderful. And my favorite quote was that Henry Ford said, if I had asked the consumer what they needed, they would have said a faster horse.
Right.
And so, and that's the whole idea. Like if we're constantly, like, we need to be the innovators. We need to be the ones bringing to the client what they don't know they need. And if you're not doing that in your business, then you will definitely start to hit a wall with your clients saying, we're going to shop this all on Wayfair. Well, that's fine. I mean, if I haven't proven to you that the service is what you're buying, then you are welcome to shop it all on Wayfair. You have the option,
Right.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit from your perspective, Candy, because you're a design build firm. So that adds a different layer there, right, in this conversation.
Yeah. Well, just adding to your comment, Rachel, about, I mean, what you're talking about is really like being a challenger. And like, that's the new salesperson. And that's actually the most successful salespeople are the ones who actually challenge the client and bring new and innovative ideas to the table that make a lot of sense. But addressing your question, LuAnn, yes, I'm design build, and something that I build into my contracts with my clients is definitely the service aspect. And the way that I frame it with them is that they are required, unless otherwise discussed and specifically worked through, they are required to purchase through me. I have it in my contract. And they can go and shop and, find alternate deals and blah, blah, blah. And that's fine if they bring that to the table. But ultimately, they have to purchase through me unless we make a prearranged agreement.
So let me stop you there, okay? Because I know for a fact many of the baby designers out there struggle with this exact point. And so one thing I heard in there is first of all, you're setting the agreement up ahead of time. This is clarity. Yes. This is how it's going to be. If you want to say ixnay on this, you say it now. Okay, that's number one. I understand. But number two, it almost sounded like that if the client wants to run around in circles and research the death out of something that you've already selected, and they find it at a lesser price point, or they find what they believe is a comparable thing at a lesser price point, you're not going to tell them that they can't have that one, but you're saying that thank you for doing all that research, sweetie, because we're still buying it through my firm?
Yes.
Interesting. Nice twist.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And the reason why I do that, my justification for it is that if I am purchasing, I'm also tracking. I'm also going through a vendor that I've already established a relationship with. I am receiving it, I'm inspecting it, and then I am taking responsibility for the delivery and the installation. And that's all part of the service.
Right. And the other thing is
concierge.
But isn't there something else that occurs to me that you could ultimately also say to a potential client is that's so awesome. After I gave you the exact size, specification, and style of sofa that you found a lookalike for less money, but you never would have looked for that lookalike if it hadn't started with my design and idea for that particular space. So isn't there some value in that their copycat, even if it is less money, still gets purchased through you because they never would have come up with that copycat. They would have been like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I would add just a twist on this idea. We used to procure everything for every single type of project. And the truth is that on the smaller side of design, if it's just a room or a group of rooms, I came to realize that what we really make on furniture is not enough to negate the risk associated with procuring for clients. So we're kind of doing something a little bit different now moving forward, where if they're not meeting a minimum buy with us, then they have the option. They can do what you just said that they in your contract they can't do. But I'm very upfront with people about that from the beginning as well, and tell them, you can buy it through us, you don't have to buy it through us. But by and large, because we're doing such a great job of showing them the value of having us order, track, receive, inspect, install, service after the sale, they just realize, and for the most part, what consumer wants to place every single order for every item in a room? I mean, we have a system for that we've got all the kinks worked out. Most of the time, they decide they're just going to let us do it because they're so thrilled with how things have been going so far. Anyway, they like how we work. But I have sort of made the decision that for our firm, we're not going to procure unless we can make a certain amount of money on the product. Yes. Yeah. And there's a lot of weirdness around markup. People think it's such a bad thing. How dare you charge me for time and markup? And
don't get me started.
I know. I do exactly what Candy said she just said. In our contract, we have a clause for every step of what it takes to get a product from a vendor to a client. And we state all of the things that we will do on behalf of the client to get that product to them. Even through the signing of the contract process, we're still bringing the focus and the attention on, again, like Candy said, the service of interior design, which brings me to, this is a luxury. So for the baby designers that are out there who are like, but how am I going to make money? You have to start charging for your services. So we have chosen to go to a flat fee model based on the square footage of the project and the complexity and the scope of work. And then there is a finite amount of time that we will work under that fee. And there are all types of clauses that talk about, if we go over that amount of time, we keep very tight records on how long it took for decisions to be made, when we got signed pieces of paper back saying that they were okay with the design. I mean, we're running it like a tight ship over here because you cannot propose a flat fee and then work in perpetuity on a flat fee. You're not going to make any money doing that either. But because we make our money on the flat fee, I feel fine, honestly, with saying you don't have to buy any of this from me. You really don't. In fact, it's kind of a headache to sell furniture, quite frankly. Things come in damaged. You have to return them. And we're dealing with a little scuff on an ottoman right now that came in from one of our favorite vendors. And it came back and it didn't appear that it had been fixed at all. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like, can this just get fixed? Like, it's a drag for me. It's a drag for the client. It's taking our time. Those kind of little things. That's the flip side of this that people don't understand. But what's interesting to me is when we have let clients order, if they find something online that they want to order, or if they've literally taken what we've given them and gone and bought it all from someone else, things will come in, and if there's a little bit of damage, they will literally just live with it. But if
if you delivered it right.
Oh,
yeah. Oh no, that's so true. It's so true. Candy, you have this other thing where you do the design build. And so you're not only going for the upper market that's interested in being serviced and having the project taken care of for them, but you're taking it all the way. I was going to say all the way to build, but you're starting it from build. Like you're encapsulating another layer of service. And describe to us how that has value and how that has helped your firm set yourself apart.
Well, like I was saying earlier, there's this group of people who largely have no idea what plumbing is or electrical. I mean, they know the functions of it, but they don't want to know anything about the construction process. And it's sort of like, boggles their minds.
Yes, thankfully.
And comparing it to, a mechanic. If something goes wrong with your car, you take to the mechanic and you have no idea what the mechanic is doing, but he's fixing your car. So that's, kind of how we address our service. offering to our clients is that we can do your kitchen from start to finish. You don't need to bring in a contractor independent of us. You don't need to bring in your electrician, your plumber, et cetera, et cetera. Like, we have all of the resources. And that's a huge, huge value add, to come to the table with resources that have been established and that are trustworthy and that are going to get the job done right the first time.
I love this. This is, you know what, Candy, this is excellent because, and I love the way that you are consistently bringing analogies that a consumer can understand and visualize. And it's the truth. It's like saying to a consumer, right, when's the last time you brought your car in for service and you required understanding what brand of brake pads went on it and what brand of oil the guy put in it and what brand of, rotor cuffer thingers that he put in, right? Let's leave it to the guy to do it. So you're saying that we will handle all of that detail. Yeah. So the question in there for me with you is, because I'm sure we have people out there that are saying, "Oh, great idea. Let me start doing that." Are you at the point now where this is not on the table, but did you experience a point where it was? So what if somebody says, "Yes, I want you to handle all that. That'd be awesome. But, my cousin Bob is my electrician." So how does that work?
So, that's a little bit of a trickier conversation. But, it's like I can't stop people from working with who they want to work with. I just ask to have an interview. I go through the drawing sets, everything that's required for the project. Additionally, I say I'm not going to be liable for that portion of the project, whether it's the electrical, plumbing, or whatever it is. So, there's that whole factor too. And oftentimes when I go through the reasons why, they will say, "Oh, just use your guy,"
Right. It's sort of like when Rachel explains how many steps it takes to actually order a sofa. And I can see that. And I love that approach too, Candy, that you don't immediately just ixnay them. You just don't say not possible. But when you express, because I have to say, it's one thing, the hip bone's connected to the knee bone. So if you sit there and say, well, that's okay. So your brother Bob is an electrician. That's awesome. Yeah. But if brother Bob, does something that screws up what the plumber does or does what the carpenter does, like the whole thing is going back on Bob.
Yeah. And I mean, another
never mind. I never liked Bob anyway.
Another aspect of it too is like my guys and my crew are sort of used to working with one another now. So there's that familiarity and they've got a system and a process in place that works. And when you throw a spanner in it, all of a sudden there's some challenges and some issues that weren't there before. So that's another selling.
I love that. I love that whole point. Like what I love is, look, I come off like with like a little bit of a hard line sometimes, and the reality is that it's important to take the time to make sure that when we are experienced at doing something and we are experienced at handling a conversation, at least for me, I think it's important that I take the time, because I'm so prone to go, no, you tell them no, that you're just not. That's your business. Do it your way. They don't get to make your rules. But the reality is the way that that's like I always say, that's my inside voice, not my outside voice. And the outside voice is always the voice and the logic that appeals to what is ultimately best for your client. And even though it serves you best because it is the best way. You know what I mean? And so to explain that, that your team is accustomed, and what a client can visualize that when you say not only is your team the various members, even if they are separate trades, not only are they accustomed to working together on the moment, in the spot, right? But they're accustomed to the rhythm of the way the project goes. And so it doesn't rely, I imagine, when I visualize your group of trades working together, that if the electrician's job ran behind today for some reason unknown to him that was going to happen, he now knows the sheetrocking guy and can say, hey, dude, don't show up tomorrow. I'm not going to be done. Whereas when you've got all separate moving parts, that's like 19 phone calls. You know what I mean? Or there's the sheetrocker there and the electrical's not wired in, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you express it, the value, again, you're expressing the value to the client for letting you be the person who runs the project and bring all of your team members in. Okay. Okay. So now go back to Rachel. Tell us a little bit about your theory on this, the upper level when we enter this new age, this disruption of the internet and online selling. There is safety and security when you rise to the top and you sell your value and services. And what happens? What's your vision? You have a great idea for the lower level.
Well, I think realistically, people are intrigued by designers. I think that's kind of what this all comes down to. Like, inherently, everyone wants to think that they can do what we do, but they know they can't. But what they really want is the information. And so if I'm gonna move my business to the top of the market and in the luxury end, then what I need to do is I don't want to ignore someone who could be a potential, raving fan who could spread the news about Rachel Cannon Limited Interiors. So what I would like to do is create informational products that can live on my website for the person who will never pay for a full service interior. Or in Candy's case, maybe the person who has no hope of ever remodeling or building. They're just going to live with what they have and like zhuzh it every now and then. An informational product that can live on your website. You create it once, but you sell it over and over and over again. I mean, there are so many influencers right now who are doing this very thing. Jenna Kutcher is one of the ones that I follow that, like, it's unbelievable what she's done. She was a photographer who now like creates informational products. They live on her website. She sells them over and over, and she has a home in Wisconsin and a home in Hawaii. Like, she's 27 or something crazy like that. I mean, right? This is the future of like where business is headed. And so start thinking about, like, what's the thing you get asked for the most. In our case, it's paint colors. People ask literally almost every picture we post on social media, what is that paint color? Do you mind sharing the paint color? Or they'll DM, do you mind sharing the paint color? And truthfully, I do mind, because my clients have paid for the privilege of having me select a paint color. And like Candy said earlier, it's probably not going to look good on you. Like, it's just, you're not doing it, So I sometimes will share it, sometimes I won't. If I have the client's permission to share it, then that's fine. But maybe what you could do, and this is kind of sort of the entry level of creating an informational product, but maybe your lead magnet would be something like your top 10 favorite paint colors, or your top 10 whites, or your top 10 blacks, or whatever you're known for. Kind of put that out there. Jenna Kutcher is amazing at that. She's got lead magnets for literally everything under the sun. It's like unbelievable. But then you can sell them into, give them a taste of what your knowledge is, and then sell them into a product, an information product. And then probably from there, I see sort of where I want to take this as, maybe these people, if they're local and they bought a little information product, maybe they want to buy a package of consultations. But again, this kind of still holds true to my thought earlier about when we actually get involved on a hand-holding basis is when you meet the minimum project budget. Because at this level, we're still just consulting with clients. And so it's the exchange of information, and that's great because they've got some information they can use and we've been compensated for it. But if we're going to take the jump from that into full design, where we draw plans and we're with the contractor at every site meeting, and we just finished a renovation of a home that took a year, and it's fabulous. And the clients were absolute dreams the entire time it went on, because it was an ideal client situation in every possible way. At the end of all of that, we came right in with our furniture truck. We installed it in one day. That is a clean in and out, ran like clockwork type of project. When you have sold that to the client, and when they have said yes, no question, in that design proposal fee meeting, then that's your client. Those are the people you've got to be targeting. So then we go back and we think, okay, let's profile those people. What made them special? Well, like Candy said, these are not people who want to do this on their own. They did not want to spend a year of their life meeting with contractors, going to tile stores, going to the paint place. Like, they wanted someone to just pull it all together for them. And she's absolutely right. There's always going to be, at the high end, a class of people who understand the value in that and understand that their time is actually worth more than that.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I mean, there's one thing about this, this selling a product off of your website that it does have some value and some appeal to it, because it is things that you can, it depends on who you are. Like, I don't expect that, when you're like Candy and you've got a design build firm, you're always going to survive, because people are always going to need this service and thing. But for other firms that are trying to find their spot in this, or like Rachel's firm that wants to, keep both things going on and sees the future in that, I have to say, my Doma Studio, the sponsor of the podcast, they have the ability, Wendy Wallace-Chuck, if you guys remember Wendy's episode, she literally went into my Doma Studio and created packages that would be like, the seaside retreat guest room package, or, the country log cabin package. Oh my God, Wendy, I'm so sorry, because I know I'm making up these names. But the thing is, what she did was she created them, and she created a mood board, and she said, I would use this bedspread from, Bloomingdale's. I would use this bed from wherever. I would use this rug from curatedcravat.com. I would use this. And she put it all together in a thing, and then she sells it. I'm going to make up a price. I have no idea what it was, but like $149. And what happens is the client gets the mood board picture of it, and then the list of all the links to buy it. And by the way, they're affiliate links whenever and however possible, right? Yeah. And so, yes, are you getting rich on this? Well, absolutely, you could if you did a billion a month. But the fact is it could be a supplementary income. And the reality of it is you sit and you are creatives, and you're going to care about creating the perfect seaside retreat guest bedroom. So it's going to take you 5 hours to do it, I'm sure, instead of a minute and a half, but it takes you 5 hours one time, and then it's done. And then people go and they buy it. And so that's a viable option for getting around this new age of internet availability. And then, Candy, I know that you want to talk about design consult packages, and Rachel mentioned it in there for a second. Tell us a little bit about your approach on that, and that's a little nudge that you have in your business.
Yeah. So, and this is something that we are kind of fresh into developing right now, as in reaction to what's going on online. Because, it's like, I just want to say too, like, instead of swimming upstream, like, let's just go with it,
Exactly.
Right.
Why resist? Just go with it. Like, there's been a huge boom, in Chicago of high-rise luxury apartments. Like, these units, these buildings are filled with hundreds of people who want to decorate their apartments,
Right.
Like, this
Same
is
here
an
in New York, New Jersey,
market.
too. They're all over. 10 years ago, it was all high-rise condos. If it was a high-rise, but it was a for sale. Last 10 years, it has been we are literally inundated with luxury apartment rentals. Apartments that are $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month. And the thing is, to your point, to your point, Candy, is the person that is renting a $10,000 a month apartment does really expect it to look pretty fabulous.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And so you're designing a consult package targeted to this consumer?
Yes. So we're specifically targeting luxury rentals. In Chicago in particular, it's been disclosed that it's actually a better financial decision to rent versus own. So people are just, like, they're okay renting. And so what we're looking to do is establish an online portal where people can purchase our services in package format, and it can be, like maybe just a trend package where they get a shop list, that we don't procure it for them.
Right. Similar to what Wendy's doing, right?
Yes. So we basically, tell them what to buy, and they go do it. And then there's sort of like a small, medium, large, and the medium is maybe you do some and maybe we do some. And then the luxury is we do it all. And we build in more consulting fees, and it's just much more of like a concierge experience. And then in addition to all of that, I want to highlight that something that's so important is branding. And it's taken me absolutely years to kind of get my brand on point and to like know who I am. I mean, it's sort of like a growing up process, you know. It's just like when you're a young designer, you're a baby designer, and you're not going to know exactly what you're all about. I mean, this is the process of it. It's not an overnight thing. It takes time. And part of it for me was to enjoy the journey. I sort of wanted, you know, an end point where I was successful, but I had to go through the whole rigors of getting to that. You know, it's not, it's like you got to put the 10,000 hours in, you know?
Right. Exactly right. Oh, so here's what I love in there that was so fabulous is you recognize this trend that's probably happening in most of our big cities, right? This influx and this boom of apartment rentals at the luxury expensive level. And what I love is that this same person, this is the same person, by the way, at different levels. It's this new breed. 20 years ago, you couldn't have taught anybody that would have said to you, it actually makes better financial sense to rent a $10,000 a month apartment than it does to buy a house, right? Yeah. But there is this whole, it's not just our industry that's disrupted. It is the real estate industry that is changing on its head and rolling and looking at new models and looking at new things and the way that people live and work and place their money for the places that they live, right? But here's the thing. What I think is so genius in there is that same new age type of person that is financially successful and wants to live well but is not looking to put down roots in a long-term home investment is probably that exact same demographic that even if they make $500,000 a year is going to Google living room furniture.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is like, right, like I love it, right? So here's what I love. When you are going exactly to where this new breed consumer is, but when they find you, you've got it set up. Hey, you just want to buy the, you know, luxury trend on package. Here it is, you know, however many, but you walk them through and say, and if you really feel like you want service, this is available too, because I'll bet you most of those are going to convert. So somebody's maybe renting a $3,000 a month apartment. That's still a lot of coin for a rental, but maybe they would buy the package and see you goodbye. But the $10,000 person is going to be just to the way Rachel described, is that once they realize all that goes into it and they see that big list of all the crap they have to order, you know what? How much more for you to do it all? I love it, Candy. I love it. That's a great way to capitalize on this change in the industry, but to keep your hand in it, and to your point, your brand, because even that lowest level package, I'm sure it's not inexpensive, but that lowest level package is specifying your brand, and then the highest level package is coming with your quality services and value add.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Smart. This is why I love you, ladies. This is why I love both of you. Honest to God, I swear to goodness, when you both know, you absolutely both know this, because I've said it about each of you many times since then, but when I first interviewed each of you separately the first time, when the phone call was done, I don't know if you remember, but I know I said it to both of you. Oh my goodness, you are so smart. And I remember going like, there is a list for this kind of smart people. They stay with me. I bring you know, it's like, so what, Rachel, I made sure that you were on a panel with me in High Point with Mrs. Paranjape, and Candy, I had you with Chad James in Chicago. And I just love it when you don't have to have the questions ahead of time. It's just you have an answer because you have experience and because you've thought about it and you have reiterated what you've done and understood that the best thing that you can do as an entrepreneur is to be open to change and not to begrudge
Flexibility.
Right?
Yes. Flexibility.
Love it. So I am so grateful for both of you doing this together, because of course, I mean, seriously, I'm going to see you both in a month at LuAnn Live. I just can't even stand it.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
I know. So we thought we would do a little pre-chat to that event in March. And I'm just I'm really personally so grateful to have crossed paths with each of you because you're just smart and you're just
I feel the same way.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I just want to add one thing before we go, because I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't mention this. But Candy has said it so many times that I'm like, I really want to make sure that the listeners understand this. When you're talking about branding, this needs to be not just the look of your logo, not just the look of your website. It needs to be the look of your rooms, which I know there are so many people who get into this industry and think, I'll just be the person who can do whatever the client wants. And that's not, don't do that. Like, everyone kind of starts there, and then you kind of realize, like, I'm not really doing any work that I'm proud of. But that's why I love this idea of offering the packages like she's talking about with the rooms, because at every level, it's still branded. It's Candy's brand, and it's still Candy's look. And that's why, that is specifically why it's different than Laurel and Wolf or any of this, because they're just doing a super trendy, of the moment, out like a shooting star tomorrow type of look. But that is why it is so important to know what type of design aesthetic is yours that you excel at, because that's another layer of why clients are going to come back to you down the road. If they start as an entry-level client now, in 10 years, they're going to come back because they loved what you did so much. So it is so important that your brand is consistent all the way from, your social media, your logo, to the way your rooms look, to the way you present yourself. I heard it one time, and I can't remember who said it, but if we are truly trying to move into the luxury market and we want to command $1 million for our design fees, you can't ask for $1 million if you don't look like $1 million, if you don't look like your brand. And so that is just so important for everyone to remember. Don't try to just replicate what you see on Pinterest. Don't try to just replicate whatever is trending on Instagram. Like, it's fine to, in some level participate in a trend, but really do design that is authentic to who you are, that you enjoy, that you're proud of, that you like. Because again, when you're energized and you're working in that, the type of design that makes you really happy, it shows through, and it's magnetic to potential clients. And that's so important. You can't forget that in all of this. Like, whatever level you want to offer, if you want to offer informational product or if you want to offer luxury design services, at every single level, it has to be authentic to a style that is true to you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's when it starts getting a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Right.
Exactly.
And what's the point if we're not having fun?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's hard work, but it is your passion. It is something that you enjoy doing, and it's so much happier to do it in the space and the place and the way and the style that makes you happy to do it. So, I mean, look, these are two experienced women. These are not people that have had a business for a minute and a half. And so take the inspiration, take the lessons, take the tips, take the advice, and try and strive for this and understand that it doesn't happen in a minute and a half where you just, like my friend Sandra Funk says, can stand in your space. It takes a minute and a half. What I mean? It takes a moment. But it is with the help of people like the two of you that have gone before and have come through it, that when you share your experiences and your expertise and the things that worked and things that didn't, that help us shorten that learning curve. So, ladies, love you. Hashtag smart ladies times 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, LuAnn.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So now you really want to meet them in real life, don't you? I know. That's how I was the very first time I interviewed each of these ladies. And just as I said in the interview, since I first met them interviewing them, I have invited each, Rachel and Candy, to be on panels that I have led. And you know why? That's because they deliver. Don't you want the chance to ask Candy in person about those packages she offers to her upscale clients and how through those packages she walks them through the front door to her full service interior design? Or how she manages an entire team of trades from build to design, right? I know you do. And what about Rachel? You probably have a dozen questions about her contract and how she goes through each step of her process with her clients, ensuring that she is managing their expectations. And I know you want to ask her about that flat fee model that she's moved to, how she calculates it, how it works. I know. But there's only so much that we can cover in each show. But this is exactly why that I'm going to put these two ladies in the same room with Sandra Funk, Claire Jefford, Keisha Franklin, and 9 others of your favorite interior design guests that have been on this show so that you can ask them your questions in person. And by the way, you know I'm talking about LuAnn Niagara Live. It's about the conversation, right? Okay. Did you also know that this event is the launch of my second book? That's what it is. At this event, I'm launching my book. The book is The Things I Learned from a Well-Designed Business, the Power Talk Friday Experts, okay? And I'm asking, did you see the cover reveal on February 5th? If you didn't, head over to LuAnnNiagara.com/book2. Why am I sending you there? Because I want you to see the gorgeous Sven chair on the cover in podcast green, by the way. And you know whose chair that is? That's right. It's from our show sponsor, Article.com. Article.com is your resource for mid-century Scandinavian-inspired furniture that you can specify for bedrooms, living rooms, dining rooms, offices, and outdoor space. And if you haven't heard episode number 301, please go back and listen to Duncan Blair tell us all about the trade program with Article.com. Especially listen for their fantastic delivery and return policy. That is going to floor you, I promise. And in the meantime, if you want to see that book cover with that gorgeous Sven chair in podcast green, head over to LuAnnNiagara.com/book2. Okay, that's our show for today. I thank you so much for joining me. It's been my pleasure to speak with these 2 smart ladies again, and I am looking forward to seeing them in person in March 2019. I hope that I'm going to see you too. I want you to make a decision today. You need to decide to be excellent. How are you going to do that for you and your business today? Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNiagara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.